I want to talk to you today about something we all face at some point in life: uncertainty, the fear of what's next. We don't know what tomorrow holds. We don't know what challenges or blessings are around the corner, and that unknown can feel overwhelming. Maybe you're stepping into a new season, starting a new job, moving to a new place, or facing a health battle. Maybe you're waiting for an answer, but it hasn't come yet. The longer you wait, the more the fear creeps in. But here's the good news. You don't have to be afraid of what's next when you know who holds your future. Before you even step into the next chapter of your life, God is already there. He isn't bound by time the way we are. He sees the beginning, the middle, and the end all at once. While we worry about what's around the corner, He has already prepared the way. Nothing in your future is a surprise to Him. He knows every challenge you will face, every opportunity that will come your way, and every decision you will have to make. That's why you don't have to live in fear, because the God who loves you has already gone ahead of you. Think about the times you've worried in the past. Maybe you've spent sleepless nights stressing over how something would turn out, only to look back later and realize God had it under control all along. The same God who was faithful then will be faithful now. He hasn't brought you this far just to abandon you. He's been guiding you even when you didn't realize it, and He will continue to guide you in the days to come. When you feel uncertain, when you feel overwhelmed, remind yourself that your future is not unknown to Him. One of the greatest lies that fear tells us is that we are on our own. It makes us believe that if we don't figure everything out, everything will fall apart. But that's not the truth. God is not only with you in this moment, He is already at work in your tomorrow. He is making connections, opening doors, shifting circumstances, and aligning things for your good. You may not see it yet, but He is always working behind the scenes. While you are praying about your future, He is already putting the right pieces in place. In times of uncertainty, our natural tendency is to cling to control. We want to have everything mapped out. We want to see the full picture before we take the next step. But faith requires trust. If we truly believe that God is already in our tomorrow, then we can release the need to control everything. We can stop exhausting ourselves by trying to figure it all out and instead surrender our plans to the one who knows best. His ways are higher than ours, His thoughts are greater than ours, and His plans for us are always good, even when they don't look like what we expected. There will be moments when you don't understand why things are happening the way they are. Maybe you're facing a delay that doesn't make sense, a closed door that feels unfair, or a change you didn't see coming. But just because you don't understand doesn't mean God isn't in control. He sees the whole picture. He knows what's best for you, even when you don't. He allows certain things to happen, not to harm you, but to prepare you for something greater. What feels like a setback to you might actually be God setting you up for something better. We see this all throughout Scripture, time and time again. God went ahead of His people to prepare the way. When the Israelites were wandering in the wilderness, He was already making a way for them to enter the promised land. When Joseph was thrown into a pit by his brothers, God was already working to place him in a position of leadership in Egypt. When Esther was just a young woman, God was already preparing her to be queen for such a time as this. If God did it for them, He will do it for you. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. When fear creeps in, when doubt tries to shake you, hold on to this truth. God is already in your tomorrow. He has seen every struggle you will face, every obstacle in your path, and every decision you will need to make, and He has already made a way through it. You don't have to be afraid of the unknown because nothing is unknown to Him. You don't have to fear what's ahead because He is already there. No matter what the future holds, you can walk forward in confidence, knowing that God has gone before you and He will never leave you. Fear has a way of distorting reality. It exaggerates the worst-case scenario and makes problems seem bigger than they really are. It whispers lies that make you doubt yourself, doubt others, and even doubt God. Fear tells you that you're not capable, that you're not strong enough, that you don't have what it takes. It convinces you that failure is inevitable, that you will never overcome, and that your situation is hopeless. But fear is not the voice of truth. It is the voice of deception sent to keep you stuck, paralyzed, and unwilling to move forward in faith. Fear thrives in uncertainty. It takes advantage of the unknown and fills in the blanks with negativity. When you don't know how something will turn out, fear immediately assumes the worst. It makes you think that if you step out in faith, everything will fall apart. It makes you believe that if you take a risk, you'll regret it. But fear never tells the whole story. It leaves out the part where God is with you. It ignores the fact that God is in control. It blinds you to the truth that even when things don't go as planned, God is still working for your good. Fear doesn't just lie to you, it limits you. It keeps you from stepping into the opportunities that God has placed before you. It convinces you to stay where it feels safe, even if that means missing out on what God has in store. It keeps you from trying new things, from embracing change, from walking into the unknown. But the life God has called you to live is not one of restriction, it is one of freedom. And fear has no place in a life that is truly surrendered to God. He did not create you to live in a state of worry, anxiety, or hesitation. One of the greatest tricks of fear is making you believe that you are alone. It isolates you, making you think that no one else understands what you're going through. It tells you that no one will support you, that no one will stand by you, that you are in this by yourself. But the truth is, God has promised to never leave you nor forsake you. You are never alone, no matter how much fear tries to convince you otherwise. He is with you in every challenge, every trial, every moment of uncertainty. His presence is greater than any fear you could ever face. Fear also magnifies your weaknesses while ignoring your strengths. It makes you focus on everything you lack instead of the power you have through Christ. It reminds you of past failures, but forgets to remind you of past victories. It highlights every obstacle, but ignores the fact that you've overcome so much already. Fear doesn't want you to remember how far you've come. It wants you to stay stuck in insecurity and doubt. But when you stop listening to fear and start listening to God, you realize that He has already equipped you with everything you need. Fear has no power except the power you give it. It is fueled by the attention you give to its lies. The more you dwell on fearful thoughts, the stronger they become. The more you allow fear to dictate your decisions, the more control it has over your life. But the moment you decide to stop feeding fear, it begins to lose its grip. When you replace fear with faith, you begin to see things differently. You realize that fear has no real substance. It is just an illusion, a shadow that disappears the moment you step into the light of truth. Fear wants to rob you of your joy, your peace, and your purpose. It wants to keep you trapped in a cycle of hesitation and regret. It will make you second-guess everything, causing you to miss out on opportunities that God has placed in front of you. It will tell you to wait, to delay, to hold back when God is telling you to move forward. Fear will try to convince you that you are not enough, that you are not ready, that you are not worthy. But those are all lies. Fear is not your friend. It is not there to protect you. It is there to hold you back. Trusting the process is one of the hardest things to do when life feels uncertain. We want to know how everything will work out, how long it will take, and what the outcome will be. But faith doesn't come with a roadmap. It requires walking forward even when we can't see the whole picture. It means believing that God is working even when there is no visible progress. It means trusting that every step, even the difficult ones, is part of a greater plan. God never wastes a season, even the ones that feel slow, painful, or confusing. There will be moments when you question whether you're on the right path. You may feel like you're doing everything right, but still not seeing results. You may feel like you've been faithful, but your prayers are still unanswered. That's when doubt tries to creep in. You start wondering if you misheard God, if you made a mistake, or if things will ever change. But just because you don't see movement doesn't mean nothing is happening. Some of God's greatest work happens beneath the surface in ways we can't see. The seed that's planted doesn't sprout overnight, but that doesn't mean it's not growing. God's timing is not our timing. We often want instant results, immediate answers, and quick solutions. But God is more interested in growing us than rushing us. Sometimes the delay isn't because God is withholding something from us. It's because He's preparing us for what's ahead. He knows what we're ready for and what we're not. If He opens a door too soon, we may not have the strength, wisdom, or character to handle it. What feels like waiting is often training. It's in the waiting that God develops patience, trust, and resilience in us. Trusting the process means surrendering our need for control. It means admitting that we don't have all the answers, but we know the one who does. It means letting go of our timelines and choosing to believe that God's plan is better than ours. We may think we know what's best, but our vision is limited. We only see a small part of the picture, while God sees the full masterpiece. He knows what's coming, and He knows what we need to be ready for it. Surrendering doesn't mean giving up. It means allowing God to lead instead of trying to force things on our own. Sometimes the process involves struggle. It involves setbacks, disappointments, and moments where nothing makes sense. But those challenges are not signs that God has forgotten you. They are signs that He is shaping you. Growth happens in difficulty. Muscles get stronger under resistance. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Gold is refined in fire. The process may not always be easy, but it is necessary. Every trial, every delay, every unexpected twist is part of how God is preparing you for the promise. One of the hardest parts of trusting the process is staying faithful when nothing seems to be changing. It's easy to stay encouraged when things are going well, but what about when things are silent? What about when the door is still closed? That's when faith is tested. Will you keep praying when you don't see results? Will you keep believing when everything in you wants to give up? The people who see God's greatest blessings are the ones who keep going even when it's hard. They don't quit in the middle of the process. They trust that what God started, He will finish. The process isn't just about reaching the destination, it's about who you become along the way. If everything happened instantly, we wouldn't grow. We wouldn't develop the faith, character, and wisdom that come from walking through the journey. God isn't just taking you to a promise. He's transforming you into the person who can receive and steward that promise. Every delay, every challenge, and every lesson is shaping you. He is working in you just as much as He is working around you. What He is building in you is just as important as where He is taking you. Moving forward with boldness requires a decision to trust God more than your fears. It means refusing to stay stuck in hesitation, doubt, or insecurity. Too many people live their lives waiting for the perfect moment to take action, but the perfect moment never comes. Fear will always find a reason to make you delay. There will always be uncertainty, always be risk, always be something that feels like a reason to wait. But faith doesn't wait for the conditions to be perfect. It moves forward even when things are unclear. Boldness is not about having all the answers. It's about trusting that God will lead you as you step out. Fear often disguises itself as wisdom. It tells you that you need more preparation, that you're not ready yet, that you should wait until you have more experience. While preparation is important, there comes a point when waiting turns into procrastination. Boldness is not about being reckless, it's about refusing to let excuses hold you back. If you keep waiting until you feel 100% ready, you will never move. The truth is, growth happens in the journey, not before it. God doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called. He will equip you as you step forward in faith. There are dreams, opportunities, and callings that God has placed in your heart, but they require action. Too many people bury their dreams because they are afraid of failure. They talk themselves out of what God has put in them. But what if failure isn't something to fear? What if failure is just part of the learning process? Every successful person, every great leader, every person who has done something meaningful has faced failure. The difference is they didn't let failure stop them. They kept moving forward. Boldness means understanding that setbacks are not the end, they are just stepping stones to something greater. Moving forward with boldness also means refusing to be paralyzed by the opinions of others. Fear of what people will think has kept more dreams buried than anything else. If you live for the approval of others, you will always be held back. Not everyone will understand your calling. Not everyone will support your decisions. But you are not called to please people. You are called to follow God's plan for your life. When you focus on what God is leading you to do, the opinions of others lose their power over you. Boldness is choosing obedience over approval. God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. That means you already have everything you need to move forward. You don't need to wait for more confidence. You need to act on the confidence God has already placed in you. Boldness comes from knowing that God is with you. When you truly believe that He is guiding your steps, you stop overthinking and start taking action. You stop worrying about what might go wrong and start expecting God to move on your behalf. Faith is not about playing it safe. It's about stepping into the unknown, believing that God will provide what you need along the way. There will be obstacles. There will be moments that challenge you. But boldness doesn't mean you won't face difficulties. It means you won't back down when they come. The enemy will try to discourage you, to make you think you're not strong enough, smart enough, or capable enough. But God has already equipped you for what He has called you to do. He doesn't place dreams in your heart without giving you the ability to fulfill them. Challenges are not a sign that you should quit. They are proof that you are stepping into something greater. Resistance often means you are on the right path. Moving forward with boldness requires daily surrender. It means waking up each day and choosing to trust God more than your circumstances. It means refusing to let fear control your decisions. Boldness isn't just about big moments. It's about the small choices you make every day. It's about choosing faith over fear, action over hesitation, and obedience over comfort. When you live with boldness, you step into the fullness of what God has for you. You stop just dreaming about the life you want and start walking in it. You stop waiting for permission and start moving in purpose.